Wazza, and welcome to Retail Unplugged, a series brought to you by Retail NZ. Grab a coffee and take a break and join me, Carolyn Young. I'm here today to chat with Warren Ngan Woo from Westpac about the financial wellbeing, spending and budget setting. Welcome, Warren.
Hey, kia ora, Carolyn. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. Tell me a little bit about your role at Westpac. It sounds like a really interesting one.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's funny because my title is long, but actually what I do is really awesome. So my title is the Program Manager of Financial Wellbeing for Institutional and Business Banking. But in essence, it's really around building financial capability, talking about financial literacy. And I usually often go out to our customers, talk to their staff, also our schools and community groups to talk about money, to help people hopefully get a bit more confident and better with their money. So yeah, really cool, eh?
Oh, look, it sounds amazing. I can't wait to have this chat with you today. But before we start, I just have a quick disclaimer. All our listeners know that this information we're going to provide you today is general information only. We want you to speak to a personal financial advisor for advice tailored for your situation and if you need more information. So please go and visit Westpac at westpac.co.nz, search on managing your money, and you'll find everything you need to know there, and reach out for a personal financial advisor to tailor a situation for your needs. So let's get into it. So tell us, why is it so important to budget?
Oh, Carolyn, I think it's really important to budget because when you think about it, a budget is literally instructions for telling your money what to do, where to go. And actually, a budget really helps you take control of your money because quite often there's a great saying by Dave Ramsey. And anyone who's listening who loves Dave Ramsey, he's a great money expert from America. But his famous saying that really has resonated with me is that a budget tells your money where to go rather than wondering where it went. Because how often do our people get paid, they pay the expenses, and then they look at their balance and they're like, "Where's all my money gone?" And Carolyn, has that happened to you where you're going, "Man, where is all my money gone?" Is that something that happens to you?
Absolutely. I think it's happened to all of us at different times in our life, and we just don't quite know what's gone. And it takes ages to then track back through your bank account, try and work out
Yes.
what's happened. And invariably, it's all accounted for, but you're just unaware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, having a budget is really important. And one thing to tackle that feeling around budget, because when you talk to someone about budgeting, right, it's not sexy, right, or it's not interesting. It doesn't
Yeah.
spark any interest for someone, right? Their eyes roll back. So quite often I say, hey, change the word around budget. Call it a money plan. If you've got it tied to a trip to Japan, you call it your Japan plan. It's got a nice rhyme to that. But I mean, anything that's going to help you connect with you and what you do with your money, because that's really important, around that. And trying to remove the word budget and change it to something that's going to connect is my little tip for anyone out there.
Absolutely right, because I think a lot of people, when you think of budget, you think of something that's going to restrain you. It's like thinking about going on a diet, right? It's not something you want to do, but you have to do it. So how can we
Yes.
be more inspiring? And I like that, it's the Japan plan or it's the Taranaki plan or whatever it is. What are the plans that, is it the home plan or what is it that you wanted to save for? And let's frame the title of it around that.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about a budget, are there editable budgets? What sort of documents and apps would people be able to use in order to manage their budget today?
Yeah, absolutely. And through our managing your money program, we've got a content called spending and budgeting workshop, and through that we talk about a template that we have, and it's a PDF editable version. So happy to provide that for you to send out to your members. But actually, there's some online, right? There's sorta.org.nz. They've got a wonderful budgeting tool app that you jump on, enter in your salary details, and that salary details can be your yearly income or your weekly, monthly, fortnightly, whichever frequency you get paid. And what happens, it spits out where you spend your money. And the cool thing about that, you enter in your details and puts it into buckets, and you can visualize seeing where your money is getting spent. And quite often at the moment, if you think about, a lot of us New Zealanders, a lot of our expenses are sort of the three main groups, right? It's sort of, rent and mortgages, food and
Yeah.
transport. Those seem to be the three biggest buckets that people tend to spend their money on. So having that sort of template really helps support that. And one of the things I can, talk to people is that if you go on moneyhub.co.nz, if you type in best budgeting apps out there, I'm a bit of a classic man. I like to write things down on a piece of paper, what comes in, what goes out, and what's left over. But for anyone else who loves, the digital space and wants to get involved, on Money Hub, they've got the top budgeting apps. And I think of the top 8 that they've chosen, I think the top one is actually a KiwiSaver provider, the Booster KiwiSaver provider. They've designed this app called My Budget Pal, and it's a web-based app at the moment. But in some of the other ones, they've got Pocket Smith, and that's one they've got a free version and a paid version. And actually, a little shout out to Westpac. We've made it. We made top 8. We got top 7, so we made the 7th position, and we've got our function called Cash Nav. But a lot of banks and a lot of other financial institutions, they do have different or varying apps. Coming back to that point around being in control of your money, because when you're in control of your money, you're going to feel a bit more in control of where you're going, what you're doing with your funds, and there's going to be a lot less stress on you and your whānau, which is the key part to putting a money plan or a budget together.
And that'll give you that confidence that you know how you're going to get to the destination and what length of time it's going to take you to get there.
Yeah,
So basically,
absolutely.
there's lots of apps that will suit various different people. Go on to, was it sorted.org.nz?
Yes, so that's they can jump on and see the budgeting template that they've got there, which is nice, and then also the moneyhub.co.nz best budgeting apps, and and it's been updated from February this year, so it's pretty recent. So yeah, it'd
Perfect.
be great for anyone. And actually, people might be going on there going, I actually use those apps. So if you are using those apps, big shout out to you guys. So good stuff.
Excellent. So how do you analyze and manage your expenses? What's your recommendations around those sorts of things? Because that's what can trip us up, right? We know that our salary is going to come in once a fortnight or once a month, and we can't change that, but it's our expenses that is the other easy slippages, right?
Yeah, you're totally right. And I was recently at a workshop with some youth, and I said to them, when you're looking at your spending diary, so quite often maybe at the end of the week, pull out your phone and from your phone look at your transactions from Monday to Sunday, and you write it down. If you're not writing it down, put it into a spreadsheet, whichever way that you can visualize it, and you're probably going to surprise yourself on how much money you've spent that week. So that's probably one thing I would recommend around analyzing. And often I say, accountants often talk about, hey, year end, talking to the customers, make sure you send in your financials. You could be a mini accountant. So at the end of the week, whether yourself or your family or your partner or your loved one, sit down and let's have a look at what we'll spend our money on a week or daily. So those who are listening to this, maybe you're listening on your lunch, pull out your phone now and start looking at your transactions and see what you can do around that. And then from that analyzing, you'll be able to see, okay, where have I spent my money on? Again, those buckets, right? We talk about, food, entertainment, are those extras, food, rent, transport, and that will then just give you a bit of an idea, hopefully visualize it, going, okay, I'm spending a bit too much in that sort of space. There's best way.
So if you've got your plan for your home plan, it's really about making sure that you can manage your expenses, identify any of those leaks to make sure that, are those expenses that I've just done this last week, were they all necessary? How would I, change my behaviors in order to stop those things? What role does cash have to play in someone's budgeting? How can cash be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is a big shout out to some of the old schoolers out there in relation to how you manage your money. So those potentially who have a budget and they know with cash, they actually withdraw cash out, right? And we were talking about it before, Carolyn, before we jumped on. And I know there are people who still love and operate with cash. And I think in this day and age, with the digital world that we're in, cash still plays a big part. I think, Carolyn, you had an example when you used to operate cash. How was that for yourself, actually? I'm going to ask you a question in that space.
Hey, look, I found cash really useful when I was saving things, because when you look in your wallet, you can see what you've got left. If you've got a project that you're saving for, if you're saving for a house or it's your first mortgage, you know exactly how much you've got left. If you've got everything on direct debit, goes out and you've got $100 or whatever it is that you're going to spend each week on discretionary spending for coffee or lunches or whatever, you know what you've got and you can't go past that. So, can be really useful and is old school, because I am old school. So, so still can be useful for young ones today. But if we
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
about the big picture in terms of budgeting, we put all of that together. What are the tips that you could share with our listeners?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That one coming back to Dave Ramsey, right? A budget tells you money where to go rather than wondering when. And those who actually have a budget set up and you got family and friends that haven't really got to that point, wow, I encourage you to talk to them, right? Because, here in New Zealand, we're not really good at talking about money. And I really think it's a good time and opportunity for us to really have that kōrero with each other around, hey, or the talanoa with our family and friends and go, come on, guys. It's not about how much salary you earn. It's about actually what are you doing. And one of the other sayings I do like is actually it's not your salary that makes you rich, it's your spending habits. And if
Yes.
you really wind that back around your spending habits, and I'm not here, I'm not the financial police, and I'm not going to tell you don't spend your money, because we want you to spend your money in the retail space, but be mindful, right? Be mindful around, okay, cool, I've seen this week. And again, when you're doing your end of week mini accountant, analyzing, you're going to see where you're spending your money on. If you're spending too much on entertainment, you'll be like, okay, cool, is there something I can probably pull away from that? And we talk about leaks. There's little leaks potentially. I know coffee often gets the big stick around, hey, stop spending too much on coffee, but actually wind it back, there are other expenses. That's probably a good way to sort of look at your money and try to wrap it all up. Just always checking in how much you're spending, where you're spending your money on, where you can make changes. Because again, it's not about stop buying coffee. It could be, hey, I'll have coffee on a Monday, or I
Yeah.
get paid on a Wednesday, so I'm going to treat myself on a Wednesday. Because again, we all work hard, and I think you all deserve to get a treat. What's that famous saying? You're worth it. So you really want to make sure you reward yourself and stuff. But how you talked about budget being restrictive, you want to make sure that it's flexible. And often budget's not a set and forget thing. It's actually a really active thing that you need to make sure that you're on top of, or you're reviewing as often as possible, especially when life happens and things change. So make sure that you're reviewing that every time in that space.
Really fantastic advice, right? It's about making your budget work for you and your circumstances. Don't make it so difficult that you're going to blow it completely and you'll lose that opportunity. So, for more information, do go to westpac.co.nz, search on managing your money, and you'll get lots of tools and advice there from the team at Westpac. So, look, thank you so much for joining us today, Warren. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you and hear how Westpac is supporting the retail sector in New Zealand. This is the first of a series of 4 episodes around taking care of your financial well-being, so please tune in for future episodes where we'll discuss debt management, managing a mortgage, and planning for the future. Thanks to Westpac, Retail New Zealand's principal strategic partner, and whose support enables us to keep you up to date with everything retail. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to join Warren and I hope you enjoyed your coffee break and you found this episode useful. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to Retail Unplugged on your preferred channel so that you can keep up to date with and current with all the industry knowledge. Until next time, ka kite anō, bye for now.